Okay, for this video, we are going to talk about basic activities of the front office department. So we have here guest activities and front office activities. So two sides, when our guest comes into the hotel, and then you are the one acting as the front office associate at that time. So you have first inquiry from the guest, and then in the front office, what you will do is you sell guest rooms. Number one, this is a sales opportunity, and two, you describe product or services of the hotel. See, for example, if this is a walk-in guest, you're going to sell guest rooms because the rooms are the number one provider of revenue in the hotel. So it's not actually the food, it's not actually anything else but the rooms. And then second is reservations. So in the front office, you offer accommodations. Number one, you accept reservations. Two, you handle walk-ins. Three, perform registration procedure. And then you assign rooms and you check customer credit worthiness. If he or she is using credit cards, the guest can also use cash. And then you update room availability record. And then the third one is you confirm. So you confirm the offer in your part as a front office associate, and then you record information, record receipt of deposit, update room availability chart, you check overbooking, say for example if the establishment is overbooked for that time, and then you prepare arrival for the guest. And then during the arrival of the guest, so these three, inquiry, reservations, and confirmation, this is the first part of your job as the front office associate. And then during the arrival of the guest, you will do now bell service, so car parking and then luggage handling. So this job is for the bellman and concierge, as well as the valet outside for car parking. And then we have registration and check-in. When the guest comes inside or gets inside the hotel rather, so you receive and welcome the guest. Number one, checking and booking details. So for example, if the guest has reservations, you need to check that. You need to verify the name and the reservation code of the guest, and then you allocate rooms after his registration process, and then you record room allocation and you allocate keys or key cards. And then you also ask if there are possible requests from the guest or additional requests, and then you provide information on guest services inside the establishment. So one, concerning internal hotel operations, and second one is external events and locations in the said hotel. So say for example, if na question ang guest with regards to unsa may mga kalingawan sa lugar, then you are responsible for sharing information about events. And then when the guests go to his or her room, the concierge will direct or take luggage. So it's a concierge escort the guest to the elevator, and this is another sales opportunity because every member of the front office department is allowed to do selling. So what do we sell? Under the room is our amenities inside the hotel, and you know already what are the amenities are, from the gym to the spa, going to the business center, as well as the restaurant. And then when the guest is in-house already, you coordinate guest services. So you became a liaison between front and back of the house areas, and then you handle guest problems and complaints if there are any. And then you check for mails, messages, or calls for the guest, chart room status reports, and coordinate room sales and housekeeping. So you have here occupied status, on change, or out of order status of the rooms, and then maintain guest accounts. So construction of guest folio account and posting to folios, that means updating, because every now and then the guest will have charges inside the hotel, so you need to update the folio of the guest. Always remember that the front office associate is very alert and active when it comes to his or her responsibility, because we are the ones operating the hotel, so to speak, kasi nga we are the front of the house. So it's apparent that if you are a part of the front office department, you need to become alert and always updating the folio of the guest and always checking for possible reservations. And then you have supervision of credit limits for those guests who are using credit cards, and then documentation of guest transactions inside the hotel. And then settlement of guest accounts. This is during the checkout procedure. So finalize the account, preparation of the guest statements, reconciliation of folio, and you receive the payment, and then you perform the checkout procedure. You need to do this as fast as you can because at that specific day there are so many checkouts also. And then for the departure, you bid the guest goodbye. Another sales opportunity as you can promote the establishment when you are bidding the guest goodbye, and then you notify the other departments of when the guest has left the premise. So say for example, after nihawa ng guest, you din now notified housekeeping department nga vacant dirty na ang room niya, so that housekeeping department can update the cleaning of the room. And then you construct guest history files so that that guest can become your loyal customer. You can always update the file. So you record the guest and personal data for future reference. Say for example, if there are problems arising and that specific guest is involved, then you might use that for future reference. Okay. So those are the basic activities of the front office. Now we have here the term the art of supervising. So as future managers, we need to learn how to do the art of supervising. So the art of supervising employees encompasses volumes of text and years of experiences. You cannot supervise a person or a group of people in just one setting. So pag sulod nimo ana nga department or ana nga hotel, you are not allowed to do supervising daritso. It's because you need to be trained first. So the first step in developing a supervisory style is to examine a manager's position in the scheme of the management team. Always follow your manager. So if it is your time rather to work outside the school premises, and you become a part of the front office department, you need to always listen and follow your manager or supervisors and those who are seniors nimo, because they are much more knowledgeable now when it comes to the functions in the front office. And then as a front office manager, you are assigned certain responsibilities along with certain authorities. So these are areas for participation, growth, and limitation of the management team. So you are given the power, so rather yung manager nimo is given power to supervise all of you sa grupo niya. So it is also his jurisdiction or his or her jurisdiction to do what is good for the team. And then at this time, a manager should review personal career goals with this organization. The ports of entry to the position of general manager will help an aspiring general manager clarify goals. And then the first concept, a new supervisor should address is employee motivations. What helps each employee perform at his or her best? The emphasis is on each employee. So different incentives motivate different people. So as future managers, you need to be sensitive and sympathizing or empathizing, because you have to deal with people, and you have to deal with people so as much as possible. You need to practice your interpersonal skills so that you can become that sensitive person who understands your people. And then you need to motivate them. You need to learn how to motivate your people as much as possible. You motivate yourself first, and then that will eventually shared sa imuhang team. And then the better shift scheduling that motivates the second shift desk clerk may have no effect on a part-time night auditor who is a moonlighter. So a person who has a full-time job at another organization and a part-time job at a hotel 2 days a week on your property. The young person who prefers the second shift because the schedule better fits his or her lifestyle will not be inspired by the possibility of working the first shift. So tuition reimbursement may motivate the recent graduate of an associate degree program who wants to continue toward a 4-year degree So you need to understand the likes and dislikes of your team, and you need to ask them to compromise. So how will you do it as a future manager? So the same incentive will mean little to someone uninterested in higher education. So there are other cases in which a supervisor cannot figure out what motivates a person. So it is manager's ultimate challenge to discover how to motivate each member of his or her staff. So always be reminded it's not you, but the people who are in the team. So always remember to motivate them just like you are motivating yourself. So kailanlain man ang tao, so you need to practice and train yourself how to deal with different types of attitude. Okay, because in our industry, there are so many types of attitudes. Some are very easy, some are very difficult, and you need to deal with all of that. And then, by using this knowledge, a manager can promote not just the best interests of the employee, but also the best interests of the hotel by avoiding chaos in a department. So another supervisory responsibility is to achieve a balance among varying personalities in a group work setting. So this is a constant and evolving situation. Very often, a new supervisor does not have time to assess each employee's relationship with others on the team. Yet, these dynamics are key to establishing a positive and effective team setting. You always have a group discussion whenever it is possible, so that if you are a new supervisor, a new manager, you need to understand that each member of your team has different attitudes and personalities, and they also have different goals. So as much as possible, as a manager, you need to become sensitive. Be sensitive enough to understand your members. After working out whatever personality clashes may exist among the employees, and the manager must be objective about the strengths and weaknesses of the staff. Who is the unofficial leader of the group? Who is the agitator or the ones starting the problem? Who is the complainer? No, because there are so many members nga mo complain diretso. So it's not only here in school, in the school setting, wherein you are working during your service, and then ay mag-complain na classmate mo. So as you can see, you can practice right now. But because we are having the COVID-19 pandemic, it's really impossible for us to socialize with other students or your classmates, kasi nga we do not have a face-to-face class. And as much as possible, we need to understand that practicing on ourselves first is better, and then moving on to becoming sensitive to others. And then, objective views of staff are probably shared by the rest of the team. So often the staff members are quite aware of the shortcomings of their coworkers. They also know whom they can rely on to check out the full house and check in the convention 3 hours later. So adequate personal training makes the job of a supervisor much easier. So when training is planned, executed, and followed up, the little annoyances of human error are minimized. So say for example, if there are shortcomings from each of the members as well as yourself as a manager, you need to always open that up to your members. During the group discussion or early morning orientation, you need to always set the goal of the team, so that dili gyud mo layo ang uban or gone astray. So as previously discussed, each job description lists the major duties of the employees, but the gray areas, we have handling complaints, delivering a positive image of the lodging property, selling other departments in the hotel, and covering for a new trainee cannot be communicated in the job description. Always be reminded to work as a team rather than working individually, because you need to cover up the shortcomings of your team. And I can still remember before, when I was still a student, I was assigned at the front office, and there was this one time na kulang ang inventory. So the money that I was supposed to relay to the night auditor, it was kulang siya. So supposed to be, we have a 3,000 Malaysian ringgit na quota, but then it so happened na wala siya, nilapas siya, rather nilapas siya atong time, but naay time nga nakulangan po. So what happened is, sorry for that, is my manager and my other team members covered up my mistake. So they all went into vouching for me. So nagamot-amot sila para muabot sa quota ang money nga supposed to be relay na ako sa among auditor for the inventory. And I really appreciated that, because even though I am not a Malaysian or a Malay, they see me as someone that they can trust. So that's why when I was there, I worked hard, for them to see that I want to learn from them. So inana siya, your manager is someone whom you can trust also, as well as your other team members. And then the on-the-job training, employee training that takes place while producing a product or service, and budgeted training are excellent methods for clarifying the gray areas of different tasks of a job. So those gray areas in the front office, you need to have certain trainings or seminars so that you can understand how to handle them properly. So they serve not only to demonstrate skills, but also to communicate the financial goals, the objectives of the hospitality and service, and the idiosyncrasies of the lodging property and the people who work on it or in it. And then the responsibility of communications within the hotel usually rests with the front office. So from the guest's perspective, this department is the most visible part of the lodging establishment. So the various departments in the hotel realize that the transfer information to guests is best done through the front office. So when such communications fail to reach guests, it is often the front office that bears the brunt of their unhappiness at checkout time. So since ang front office is gitawag na to the nerve center of the hotel, usually all of the problems is nag-start sa tupa. So even though naay problem ang ubang department, but then it all comes down sa pag-relay sa communication. So we need to have the sense of being an authority when it comes to handling the responsibility for good communication. And then, for example, messages that will affect the next shift of desk clerks can be recorded in the message book. So a loose leaf binder in which the front desk staff and various shifts can record important messages. So this communication tool is vital to keeping all front office personnel informed of additions, changes, and deletions of information and activities that affect the operation of front office. Additionally, we also have a daily function sheets listing the planned events in the hotel, and their updates must be delivered to the front office on a routine basis. So the daily function board or electronic bulletin board in guest rooms available on in-room television or in public areas is usually maintained by the front office. So every information that will circulate in the hotel, kita ang mag-update. So whenever gani anay makalimtan, it's the fault of the front office. So the guest who complains about the maintenance of a room must have the complaint passed along to the right person. So the complaint is then reviewed by a member of the staff, front office manager, member of the housekeeping staff, housekeeper, member of the maintenance staff, and a maintenance director to ensure it is resolved. And then inquiries about hotel services reservations to the city ledger accounts, which is a collection of accounts receivable of non-registered guests who use the services of the hotel. So accounts payable, scheduled events, and messages for registered guests constitute only some of the many requests for information. So desk clerks and telephone operators are expected to know the answers to these questions or know to whom they should be referred. Do not divulge or magpagawas of any confidential information to someone or sa kinsa-kinsa, no? Even walk-ins or those people nga registered sa ato ang hotel or sa hotel nga imong trabahuan pohon, because confidentiality is a must, no, in our job, no, in our field. So if you're going to divulge such important information, if there are some accidents, ikaw ang mahasngan. No? So that is why you need to become responsible if you want to become future managers of the front office department. So always bear that sense of responsibility and authority, and always be the type of person nga alert, no, and active. Okay, so there is a quote that I want to share with you with regards to the art of supervising. So we have here managing, supervising. Being a leader is the hardest job in the world because you need to deal with different types of people. And if ikaw ang type na dili kayo mahilig mo socialize with other people, you don't know how to talk to other people, or maybe know how to do good communication or make a good relationship with other people, then you need to practice that now, since you are also from Mars, and I expect that you are practicing, as much as you can, your capability on how to speak, or how to communicate well. I'll be giving you activities that will give you that boost of confidence, so that you will practice how to socialize even though naamo sa inyong balay. So I have here front office interaction with other departments in the hotel. So the front office interacts with marketing and sales department. So as you can see in your module that I have given you, the module 2, so the marketing and sales department relies on the front office to provide on guest histories, details concerning each guest's visit. The sum of the information gathered is based on zip code, frequency of visits, corporate affiliation, special needs, and reservations for sleeping rooms. It's also the front office's job to make a good first impression on the public, to relay messages, and to meet the requests of guests who are using the hotel for meetings, seminars, and banquets. So there's possibility na ang marketing and sales department will ask the front office to do their job or collaborate with them. So by promoting the hotel, say for example, there are walk-in guests, and then mogamit lang sila sa hotel for seminars, symposiums, or meetings, then it's your opportunity, it's an opportunity really nga ibaligya nimo ang hotel. So that's a collaboration with the marketing and sales department. So the first guest contact with the marketing and sales department is usually through the hotel's switchboard. So a competent switchboard operator who is friendly and knowledgeable about hotel operation and personnel will make a good first impression, conveying to the prospective client that this hotel is competent. So when the guest finally arrives for the function, the first contact with the hotel is usually through the front office staff. So the front office manager, who makes the effort to determine which banquet supervisor is in charge and communicates that information to the desk clerk on duty, demonstrates to the public that this hotel is dedicated to providing hospitality. So there is a relationship between the marketing and also sa atong front office. Going to the housekeeping department, so these two, before Manggol, we have this term room divisions departments. Room divisions is actually a collaboration of work between the housekeeping and the front office department. But then it was subdivided or divided into two. So there's no room division na. So they're separated, housekeeping and the front office. So before, usara ni sila. So the housekeeping and the front office communicate with each other about housekeeping room status. They report on the availability of rooms for immediate guest occupancy. And housekeeping room status can be described in following terms. So we have available, clean, or ready. So the room is ready to be occupied. Occupied, that means the guest or guests are already occupying the room. Stay over, the guest will not be checking out of the room on a current day. So meaning 2 to 3 days pa siya magstay. And then we have the dirty or unchanged room. The guest is checked out of the room, but the housekeeping staff has not released the room for occupancy. And then the out of order, or OOO, the room is not available for occupancy because of a mechanical malfunction, or maybe there are some problems inside the room. So the front desk also relies on housekeeping personnel to report any unusual circumstances that may indicate a violation of security for the guests. We are looking into the safety of the guests, providing safety of the guests, and it's the job of the front office to always update. Say for example, kinsa ni sulod, kinsa ang naalang at times. For example, if a maid or houseman notices obviously non-registered guest on the floor, a fire exit that has been propped open, or sounds of a domestic disturbance in a guest room, he or she must report these potential security violations to the front office so that the front office can do actions, by reporting this to the general manager or the highest authority in the department. So there's no need really to go directly to the general manager, but then we can ask the manager, or you yourselves as a manager can decide, once there are some unusual activities or disturbances nga madunggan ang housekeepers sa floor. And then we have also the F&B. So, incoming messages for the F&B manager and executive chef from vendors and other industry representatives are important to the business operation of the F&B department. So, the supervisors in the F&B department rely on the predicted house count prepared by the front office manager to schedule employees and predict sales. For example, the restaurant supervisor working the breakfast shift will want to know how many guests will be in the hotel, so he or she can determine how many servers to schedule for breakfast service. The timely and accurate preparation of this communication tool assists in staffing control and sales prediction. So, naay time ang restaurant to prepare food for the guests. So say for example, or the informations we are a hotel is connected with 1 p.m. So say for example, after the checking of the guest, naman siya complimentary nga breakfast. So then that information malabay sa F&B department sa kitchen. So the kitchen will know pila mo ipakanon sa next day. And then the banquet department. So the banquet department, which often combines the functions of the marketing and sales department and the F&B department, requires the front office to relay information to guests about scheduled events and bill payment. So the front desk staff may also provide labor to prepare the daily announcement board, an inside listing of the daily activities of the hotel, and marquee, the curbside message board, which includes the logo of the hotel and space for a message. Since the majority of banquet guests may not be registered in the guests in the hotel, the front office provides a logical communications center. So for them to be informed about the scheduled events inside the hotel, so the front office must always communicate with the banquet and the marketing and sales department, in which they both work also with the kitchen or the food and beverage department. So trabaho nato as part of the front office to always update kung sa mga events, and as well as how the guests will pay their bills. Eventually, every group nga mosulod for banquet na isa nga host, so siya ang or kinsa nga organize, sila mo responsible for bills payment. And then going to the controller. So the controller also relies on the front office staff to provide the daily summary of financial transactions through a well-prepared night audit. So the front office will be checked by the auditor for inventory, every end of the shift of every shifty and a day. And then they also has a communication with the maintenance or the engineering department for any room statuses or problems sa department. So every problem will be relayed, or some of the hotels nowadays, every department is pwede sila mo relay sa maintenance. So dili na paagi sa front office, but the reports when it comes to room statuses or problems sa housekeeping department is through sa front office. So for example, na problem ang guest with regards sa iyahang mattresses or linens. So instead nga sa housekeeping siya moderate, so muadto pa ang tawag sa front office before ang front office is i-transfer siya sa housekeeping department. Okay, so for example, for maintenance we have connections or lines, like say for example extension wires for the guests, ganan siya magamit o gadgets or whatever inside sa room niya. So those are requests, additional requests. For example, is pwede siya ilabay diretso sa maintenance, but then, or sa housekeeping, but then, the problem is, malabay pa na siya sa front office. before kita may mo transfer. So our work is to transfer them, or kita ang manawag sa maintenance or sa housekeeping for the problems of the guests to be resolved. No? And then we also have security. No, our communication between the security works hand in hand because we are providing hospitality and we are providing safety for our guests. And then also, the human resource management or the department, which relies on the front office to act as the initial point of contact for potential employees in all departments. So every person na ganahan siya mo trabaho is paagi siya sa front office. So we can give if we have plans or you have plans in applying to a certain hotel or establishment under the hospitality industry, ang imuhang information is ipaagi nimo sa front office. So that is how you're going to do it, or ipaagi nimo sa human resource department. So the human resource together with the front office, they're also working hand in hand in pointing out possible or potential employees. Okay, going into the last topic for today's video, which is the role of total quality management and effective communication. So we already know what TQM is. So it is a management technique that encourages managers to look with a critical eye at processes used to deliver products and services. Managers must ask frontline employees, you, and supervisors to question each step in the methods they use in providing hospitality for guests. We are always working towards giving quality service, to our guests. No? So some examples would be, why do guests complain about waiting in line to check out? So why do guests say our table service is rushed? So why do guests get upset when the rooms aren't ready on check-in? So managers and their employees must then look for answers to this question. So number one question is, why do guests complain about waiting in line to check out? So for example, we have two different setups, no? What I've noticed here in the Philippines is that pag mag-check out ganita, yung mga guest or group folios are not really updated. So they are not updating it. So the problem is pag mag-check out na ang guest, anak pa nga time siya i-update. There is a possibility nga madugay, and then there are so many checkouts at one certain time. But then when we had our OJT abroad, no, it's different. So you need to update all the time. While I guessed, and it's really not that busy, may mong trabaho is you update the folios of every guest inside anang hotel, so that the next day kung kinsa ang mag-check out, dili siya magproblema. So pas-pas ang pag-check out namo before when you're working in abroad, because time there is very important. Here in the Philippines, I do not know. That is actually, I'm not going to divulge the name of that hotel, but then it's actually a luxury hotel, and then I do not know why inato ang ilang checkout procedure, but it's really, it will take like 1 hour, no? But in abroad, it will only take like maximum is 15 minutes, no? So we are not allowed na patagdon ang guest, because we are giving quality services to them. And then why do guests say our table service is rushed? No, guests always want attention. No, they want to feel they belong. They want to feel they're important because they are giving you money. No, and the value for that money is dako. That's why kinahanglan nimo siya hatagan og serbisyo nga nindot. And there are some cases wherein instead ang mga waiters are going to do a conversation with the guests with regards to their meal experience, wala na siya may tabo nga conversation, but then magpaspas na lang sa iyang trabaho, which is really not good, because you need to have the conversation. It gives you an opportunity to as well advertise and promote the restaurant or the food that you are serving. And then why do guests get upset when the rooms aren't ready on check-in? So there are some cases, no, case basis wherein overbooked ang rooms, and there are some guests nga wala gi-confirm ang ilang reservations, no, late na gi-confirm, and all of this are problems sa front office. You need to always keep in mind to be advance, no, always have that initiative to work in advance. Kung ano say pwede trabahoon karon, you need to finish that karon nga day, and dili siya pwede nga tomorrow na. So total quality management was developed by W. Edwards Deming, a management theorist in the early 1950s. So his intent was to offer a new way for American manufacturers to improve the quality of their products by reducing defects through worker participation in the planning process. So always ang procedure before manggod is yung top management lang ang na-power when it comes to decision making sa pagbuhat sa products and services on how to perfect products and services. But now it's different because we have the lower level management and the middle to help with us, or help the top level management in deciding how to perfect products and services. So American manufacturers were reluctant at first to embrace total quality management, but Japanese manufacturers were quick to adopt these principles of streamlining methods to manufacture products such as automobiles. He gave managers tools such as flowcharts to analyze production by dividing the manufacturing process into specific components and then focusing on the segments of processes that produce the end product. So the Japanese readily embrace the idea of Deming when it comes to total quality management, wherein apilon ang katong mga lower level nga management, which is yung mga trabahante. But the Americans are reluctant. Lahi ang Amerikano when it comes to deciding on the perfection of a certain product or a service. It's the most important aspect of TQM, which results in improving products and services for guests in the hotel industry, is the interaction that occurs between frontline employees and their supervisors. So the top, middle, and the lower level should work hand in hand, but eventually yung frontline is yung middle at lower. But then nowadays there are some possibilities yung top there also working hand in hand with the middle. So the interaction of employees in a group setting and or on a one-on-one basis to determine what is the root of the problem and how we can achieve the end result thrusts employees into an atmosphere of cooperation that may not have previously existed. So this is actually a form of motivation. Nindot kay paminawon na we are being applauded also by the top management as well as the middle management, middle level management, because it makes us feel nga mga kita nga mga frontline employees, ikaw or kamo nga manrabaho pohon, you will start at the very lower level, so you will feel like you belong ana nga establishment or hotel. Always be someone na the management, the top management can trust, and you can be as reliable as you can, so that ganahan sila sa imong performance, and at the same time you can give quality products and service to your guests. So this is the end of my lecture for today in this video. So I'll be seeing you on the next video. Have a great day, everyone.